Hello. Thank you for tuning into my channel. It's WIP Wednesday for Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021. So if you want to see what I've been working on this week, please stay tuned. I am a little bit concerned about the quality of the video that you're looking at today. I'm actually recording on my laptop and I'm not at my normal setup in my house. I hope you can tell that behind me. I'm actually visiting my sister in Texas this week. So I'm very excited that I got to come up here and spend some time with her, or come over here and spend some time at her house. And so for WIP It Wednesday this week, I want to just kind of share some of the quilts that I've made that she has here in her house. And I made videos for each one of these quilts. So I want to put links in the description box so you can check out those videos when you get a chance. These are all super special quilts because they are made for two of my nieces and one of my nephews. And so I love being able to share the quilts that I've made. I'm going to be going from the oldest quilt to the youngest quilt. And so we're going to start with this one doesn't really have a name, but it's sort of an Irish chain kind of quilt in like a turquoise blue and white and black. I'm going to put a picture of that quilt here. This was one of the first quilts that I made a long time ago. I'm not even sure of the year, and um, it's been so long that this quilt doesn't actually have a label on it. So it is one of one of the quilts that I really love. One of my favorite parts about the quilt is the backing fabric. So I'm going to show that backing fabric here. It's kind of that damask or damask. I don't know how you say it. I'll put the word here. That kind of print so that you can see it in the on the back of the quilt. And I just love that fabric. I know I got all of that fabric from Joann's whenever I made the quilt in probably the early 2010s, maybe before that, but I'm not 100% sure. It is one of my favorite quilts. I love the colors. I love the way it came together. And the quilting, it's very simple on that quilt. And I had it in my house for a long time, and then I gave it to my youngest niece. Is she? No, she's not the youngest, but she's the youngest niece that's in this house now. So that's one of the quilts here. And I think I have a video about string or strip piecing. And so I'm going to put that video here. I'm not sure if I used that quilt for that video, but I'll put a link to that strip piecing video so that you can check that out. The next quilt that I want to share is actually a scrap quilt. It uses some leftovers from a quilt that I made um, a long time ago, one of those baby making blanket quilts that I made. And I took the leftovers and I did two projects with it. One project that I did for this quilt was a jelly roll race. And I will link the video down in the description box so that you can check that out. So I'm going to show this side of the quilt that has that jelly roll race pattern. And for this particular jelly roll race, I actually used several different strips. I cut 2.5-inch strips from the leftovers from that beachy colored quilt. And then I took some leftover, I guess like piano key type blocks, and I made a strip for the quilt as well. So this turned out to be a really cute size. It's basically a baby size quilt because I'm not sure how many strips I had. I just used what I had, so I don't know exactly how many there were. And I had decided to do my fabric placement kind of random, but I didn't think that ultimately, if I had to do that again, I wouldn't do that again. I would put like pieces together and just kind of see what happens on that jelly roll race. And then on the other side, of that quilt. I'll put a picture of it here. I did some tube quilting, and so I'll link the video. I'll put a link to the video in the description box so you can check that out. That was a very fun process for me because I didn't know what was going to happen once I started cutting up these long tubes that I had created. And it turned out really great. And I was able to do some interesting things with the border and with making some cornerstones. And it was a nice quilt. And I ended up making this one for my little niece, and she was born, well, she's 6. So, I don't know. Let me see. I actually have it right here because I'm going to take it home. If you look closely, you can see that it needs a new binding. The binding is kind of frayed here, so I'm going to add a binding to it. But I did make a little bitty label for it, so maybe it has a date. Let's see. 2015. It was made. I finished it on April 3rd, 2015. So this one is about 6 years old, but this was my niece's favorite quilt, and she slept with it and slept with it and slept with it until I gave her this quilt. And she just told me that this quilt is a little bit too small for her now. So, but she still wants to keep it, and I know that it's one of her most favorite. Now, the third quilt that I'm going to show, I made for her big sister. And this was one of my purple quilts. I was looking for a label and I didn't see one, so I guess I didn't put one on that quilt. And this is actually the way that I made this one. It's not scrappy. I made it with 2.5-inch strips, and I kind of I did some string piecing or some strip piecing with it, but I also did a little bit of snowball in the corners, and it's very cool. I will put a picture of that quilt here. I used purple, like a darker purple, a lighter purple, and a dark gray for this one. And I think these are all like Kona or Bella solids, but they're all made, it's made from 2.5-inch strips. And I really love the way this turned out. This block is called the Georgia block. It's like our state block, and I found it on a website years ago. And I've made a couple of quilts out of this pattern. So I'm going to link both of the videos for the Georgia block in the description so that you can check those out. One of them I did with squares and half square triangle units, and the other one, as you can see here, I did with strip piecing. And one cool thing about the Georgia block is when you put the blocks together, you get a secondary pattern that looks like a ring or like a circle. So I really enjoy that part. And then when you make the individual blocks, you don't really think that's going to happen, but then you put it together and it like they magically appear. It's pretty cool. Um, so that is the third quilt. And there's one more quilt here that I want to share. And this is my nephew's quilt. And this, you're only going to see a small piece of this quilt. I called it the Wheels quilt. I made it for him when he graduated from high school. And so I think it was 2017 that he got this quilt, or 2016, something like that, that he got this quilt. I don't think it was earlier than that. Um, and he asked me to make it like the year before he graduated from high school. He said, "Auntie, will you make me a quilt?" And I said, "Of course I will." And he said that he wanted it to be something that reminded me of him when he was little. And when he was little, he loved all things wheels, like skateboards and roller skates and um, those kinds of things. So I made a quilt that I called the Wheels quilt, and you'll see a picture of it right here. Each of the blocks is kind of my own interpretation of a wheel. So it has half square triangles and snowballed corners, and it's a lot. I had to make a ton of blocks for this one, but I think that it was all scraps. Like I didn't have to buy any new fabric, and so it turned out really good for him. Um, the only thing was that I had to make so many blocks because he is 6'6". So so I made this giant, huge quilt. I don't have any pictures of it. Well, I do have pictures, but they're from a long time ago. I will look and see if I have those pictures. And if I do, I'll insert them here, but I don't think I can find them easily. But I'm really happy with the way that quilt turned out, and he loves it and sleeps under it or sleeps on top of it every night. So um, I love that I got to do that, and then I got to see them, and then I get to share them now with you. If you're new to my channel, then you may not have seen the videos that I'm linking here. I encourage you to go ahead and check those out. They are all great little scrap project ideas. So the jelly roll race, the tube quilting, the well, I just made 9 patches for that first quilt, but the Georgia block and the wheels block that I made, all great little scrap busters that you can use by just cutting up your scraps into small pieces. As far as being here, um, there are two things that I worked on. My sister gave me a hard time because she says I won't stop working. Some of you might agree with her. So let me see. One thing that I did, I'm gonna run and get it, is I worked on a bear and I have it here. It is almost completely done. The body and the legs are all put together with the arms attached. I just have to do the head when I get home. I would have done it already, but I didn't bring the little bit of stuffing that I needed for the ears. So I have to do that when I get home. Another thing that I did was I visited a quilt shop and I got a little scrap bag, and it was filled with we it was actually, you got to fill the bag yourself. There was like a cart of scraps and you just fill up your own bag. And so we did that, and I wanted to make a little baby blanket for my niece's baby doll. And so I'm going to put some pictures of that here. Of course, I'm in the house and she has it somewhere, but I don't have it right here on me. So I'll put the pictures here so that you can check it out. I hope that everybody has a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. If you're not a subscriber, please go ahead and click my picture there and subscribe to my channel. I usually make 3 videos a week. I have not recently because of the holidays, but I will pick that up very soon. I am on a journey to 10,000 subscribers by July 31st. Any new subscribers will help me reach that goal. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!